I want to know from both of your perspectives, as the narrative over the last few decades has really been, anti-cow in particular, these documentaries that come out that spew these numbers that are wildly inaccurate, and way overinflated. For each one of you, what has been your perspective? Like, obviously, Kevin, you've grown up around this stuff this whole time. And so when people are saying, cows are destroying the planet, every cow pasture I've ever gone to looks like some of the most beautiful land I've ever seen, where everything seems to be functioning correctly. And Noel, with you in engineering and then getting involved with cattle, what kinds of preconceived notions that you had, and what were some of the realities? I'll ask that question to each one of you.
Right. Well, I'll start. I think that's really good. And because a lot of the information, if you Google or just get on any kind of search engine and start looking for healthy nutrition, you're not going to be regularly steered towards keto carnivore, things of positive of beef, things of positive about butter. And even myself, I went to the Naval Postgraduate School for my master's, and I wrote my master's thesis on human performance. And of course, nutrition was a big part of that. And the large part of the information I got was the lean meats, balanced diets, all sorts of rice, all sorts of other things that have to be that are largely processed. And I just kind of believed it. But I also believed in cattle ranching. I just thought, well, maybe you need to restrict beef, but we need to do this anyway. But then the more I really followed, excuse me, the science and looking at data that of real health results and seeing, wow, I think there is something to this keto thing. And like most people, that was my entry level drug. I'll start with the keto, and get the different types of various products, and going down that rabbit hole. And then the more we started to meet people and started to do more reading, I'm like, wow. And then I started to have I wasn't solving any health problems. I mean, we all have issues, but I wasn't trying to fix some drastic issue I had. I was just looking for optimal health and performance. And the more I kind of went down the keto rabbit hole, the more I found myself going into the carnivore path, because I liked the results. I liked the way I felt. My skin got better. Wasn't even trying to do that. I started recovering from workouts faster. I started just having a lot better results. And then I started to meet more people and collaborate. And as we started, I didn't know anybody who was into doing carnivore. I'd heard Joe Rogan talk. I'd heard this. Well, that sounds weird, just eating meat, but kind of liked it. And now, so I've kind of found myself really embracing it. And I don't criticize someone if they want to have a bunch of rice or a salad or eat their chicken or whatever. But I really just like eating a lot of beef, and I primarily do.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I come from a very science and engineering background, and all of us science and engineers, we love technology and data, and you find in sort of common wisdom among engineers and technologists is that if you have a problem, given, say that people have erroneously identified that cattle are a problem, right? And they're creating environmental issues, and I sort of ran into that with methane. Cows create all this methane that supposedly is the problem, even though, a lot of people haven't really thought about almost 100 million bison and elk that used to live here, so what happened with that methane? But let's go back to that and say, oh, all right, so we have this problem with methane, we have a problem with carbon sinks and all these issues, and nobody is really thinking about it as an overall system, and one that sort of wraps its arms around and embraces what we might have already been doing. So things in the past that we're already doing. So, these are things, well, all of us engineers just leave the past behind, because obviously everything new that we're doing has got to be better. And it's the same in our medical industry. We've had a lot of advances in, say, disease prevention or disease care that has been maybe misplaced for chronic diseases, so you have infectious diseases versus chronic diseases where, things, we've made leaps and bounds through technology. And as an engineer, I appreciate that. But, solving the issues of chronic disease with technology and drugs and pharmaceuticals really leaves behind things that we already know as a species for maybe, a few million years. So, and these things are sort of like, as a technologist, I had to back off of wanting to take lots of data, invent new things, create new devices, new pharmaceuticals, et cetera. And especially you get really happy about that and get really excited about that as a venture capitalist, because you want to invest in companies that are developing new technologies. But instead, how can you embrace what already exists on this earth and in this world? So I think that's where I really started to latch on to things that are all right. If you want to clean up the soil and the water, how about you use something that's already there, like animals and insects and things that you don't want to harm, you want to actually incorporate in your quote unquote technology. So does that answer your question? I hope that was kind of
Absolutely.
long-winded, but
No, it's
yeah.
fascinating. It's such an interesting point of view to be able to, again, you know, an engineering mind, you want to find the technologies and the new things, but you tend to kind of forget some of the old things that we've always had. So I really think that perspective is very interesting. I'm listening to a podcast episode right now, a very, very popular one. Most people would know it, and it's all about insulin resistance. And I'm only about an hour in, and they have like barely made a flyby on nutrition, and they're talking a lot about genetics and different pharma and new things that are coming out. And I just want to like throw my phone. It's so ridiculous. It's like the main thing you could possibly do for insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, and they're getting into the sticks of these new medications and all this other stuff and genes. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and even outside the medication thing, if you ask a general person on the street, well, hey, I really want to get healthier. Oh, why don't you go down to GNC? They just got this great new product in a purple box. And you're going to go down there, and nothing bad on GNC. I'm sure it's better than a lot of crap you buy in the grocery store, but still, it's just a bunch of chemicals and crap.
Yeah.
But I used to like, I asked the question, I want to be a healthy athlete. Okay, well, you should be using these supplements and that, and this powder and this pill. And I listened to the people I respected, and I did that. And I find I'm much better without it. And just drinking water, having salt, and eating meat.
And I love that. For all the work over the years, I've tried so hard to get GNC to be a sponsor. We just lost them as a potential sponsor. Thanks a lot. No, I agree. Like I used to take tons of supplements myself because that's what you do for performance. And the more I started questioning, like, well, why am I even taking this? You realize, like, best case scenario, you're just wasting your money. You know what I mean? Like, and it can cause a lot of side effects. I will say, I feel optimistic when I'm talking to people, strangers. More people than ever now know about keto and carnivore. More people than ever are aware or maybe smell a rat, like the latest headline that had the picture of steaks and said like replacing plant-based protein for or taking out animal protein and replacing with plant-based protein will you know give you a 20% less chance of dementia or something. The comments from the general public are like more on the side of pro meat, which is really nice to see. And I really enjoyed an interview I watched with you guys with one of your friends in Florida who is a little bit more into music, but even she admitted that she's working with a nutritionist and they're trying to get you know, more steak into her diet. She's quite enjoying that, and she always kind of had the assumption that that was bad for her. So I do feel like, you know, at least optimistically that things are changing. It's just slow.
They are. It is slow.
That is slow. And you know, the proof is out there that not doing it works. I was very healthy for most of my life, and I ate a bunch of bread, I ate a bunch of chicken, I ate a bunch of not a lot of steak, maybe a couple times a week, and I ate a lot of eggs, but and dairy products, but I was doing a lot of the things that aren't optimal, and I was still succeeding. I just find it a little more optimal now.